What's up, what's up, what's up, everybody? It's that time of the day, that time of the week, that time of the month.
Yes, it is.
You're listening to and watching the good,
The band,
and the ugly. What the fuck? Holy shit, like we've never done this.
Welcome to the new year.
Yeah, happy blue year.
Happy blue year.
I'm Big Papa.
I'm Jeff.
2000.
I know, 2025. Who would have thought?
Who thought we'd make it here?
Who thought we'd be still here? Oh,
Did
shit.
you have a nice New Year?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Yeah, for once, we didn't host anything, and we went somewhere else. My daughter ended up hosting New Year's this year, so.
Really?
Yeah, it was perfect.
We went over and hung out with some friends. Not going to mention Billy and Melissa's name, but I know they're probably watching.
Yes, they probably are.
What's up,
Happy New Year, Billy
B&M?
and Melissa.
What's up, B&M? Not to
B&M?
be confused with a
Bowel movement.
bowel movement. Had a good time. Yeah, it was a good time. And
Good.
Rang in the New Year and rang in the old birthday.
That's right.
Yeah, still haven't. Did my card get lost in the mail?
It did.
Yeah, all right. It's right where yours is going to be this year.
Just like,
Hey,
just like that one.
Just like that one. Just like that one. Oh, yeah. Hey, we've got a great show, but before I got to point out over your shoulder, an original pressing of the soundtrack for the movie, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
The Bad.
Yeah, got that from the missus.
Nice.
She got me that. So that's very, very cool. I shouldn't say missus because she's not a missus, but
No.
you know,
I understand.
she has a title.
Flavor?
No,
Okay, good.
not a slave. I would be.
You're right.
So that's pretty cool. We got that added, and so thank her for that.
Yes.
Big shout out to Cat in a Hat.
Cat in a Hat.
And today,
Dude, part two?
part 2 of the man, the myth, and the legend,
Father Metal.
Father Metal, Mike Metal Goldberg.
Yes.
So why don't we bring him into the studio? Oh, like it was on cue.
I know. It's great.
Dude.
Yo, what's up, boys?
How you doing, man?
It seems like just almost yesterday that you were.
It's so great.
Right?
Honestly, it's so great to have him back, though.
I know, because
Honestly.
we didn't cover all the bases last time.
You guys
Well,
all
it's
know.
great to be back.
You guys all know what he did, how he started.
But for those of you who don't,
True.
go ahead, Jeff.
No.
Mike is a Grammy-winning.
Well, yeah, sorry.
You know, he's a sound engineer. He produced stuff. He's a musician. But most of all, he's a Harley guy.
Yeah.
So that's my.
Is that where you're going with
I don't
that?
give a shit about any of the other stuff.
Okay.
He's a fucking Harley guy.
It's a Harley guy. Everything's fine.
But and just a cool dude, and we're so happy to have you on here. And the relationships that you have with some of our previous guests between Rev Jones and Pete Merluzzi,
Yeah, good buddies.
speaks it in volumes. And Rev's going to be on tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
Cool,
for
man.
his part, for his part
I
too.
was just talking to him the other day.
And he said, I think today, we're still doing this, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, cool. All right. I was like, you know, the two
Rev's the best, man.
the two of you guys are like, they broke the mold when it came to cool people to have on the show. So we appreciate that.
My pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me.
You know, one of the things we didn't discuss in depth, you know, we knew how you got into this, but we want to make sure that we portray to our listeners, our fan base, the 11 people that listen to this, for the people that want to get into this kind of stuff, I can't stress enough, you don't have to come from a huge background of stuff. I mean, your school of hard knocks really came from what you learned being there and doing it and hands-on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
With the way things are today, working with smaller studios, having a lot less face-to-face exposure.
Yep, mentorship.
Is it going to be difficult for some people to get into this, or do you think it's easier because there's a lot less overhead and you can bring some people in?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to it. You know, there's no replacing doing it with someone who really knows what they're doing.
Right.
And learning from them on the job, the apprenticeship type situation. And you don't get that if you're by yourself in the basement with all your gear. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can go out and buy all the stuff and watch all the YouTube videos and all that stuff, but you're not going to learn all the real techniques and watch them unfold organically in the studio with musicians and learn how the relationships work.
Right.
When to talk, when to shut up, when to think, when to, pay attention and just be supportive. If you speak up, if you hear something that's not right, and maybe it got past everybody. I've been in that situation early on in my career too.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, did you guys hear that? No, what? Everybody's concentrating on other stuff, and you point something out, and it's like, oh, good catch, man. I'm glad, so those are the kind of things you don't really learn by yourself, and then you're only really learning from your experience, and you don't have anybody pushing you.
Right.
When you see an example of the career that you want to have right in front of you, and you're his assistant, that's the best way to realize it. I don't see how you realize that without going through that process.
Mm-hmm. Do you find everything's so software driven now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, you learned trial and error, hands-on, and you had to almost be a pioneer trying to make things a little different with the analog world.
Mm-hmm.
Now, digital world, you buy a piece of software.
Yeah.
And you buy the software and you utilize it for what you want it to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so many pieces of software that we all have on our everyday computers or our phone or anything do so much more than what we want, than what we originally purchased it for, that we never dive into it.
Yeah.
How often before you start using something in the studio do you put it through the paces, just fucking around with it at home?
It's funny. All my years, I don't even have like a stereo hooked up in my house.
Right.
I just don't. I do it all here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? When I leave here, it's my time to decompress, or the studio, wherever I'm happen to be working or whatever. So, I don't really listen at home. I don't mess around with Pro Tools at home unless I have to, like, if I have to get a quick edit out or something, or edit a voiceover or something like that. Other than that, I have to be in a good environment to listen. The headphones don't work, for that type of thing, for critical listening, obviously. But back to your question about the software, it's like, I put it through its paces right away. I'm like, okay, what is this thing supposed to be good at? Let me hear how it sounds. Oh, okay, cool. I'll put it in the toolbox. Or, oh, all right, yeah, I don't know. I'll have to, I'm not getting it. I don't like the way it sounds, or, pardon me. You kind of figure it out right away.
Right.
And I watch the tutorials and stuff and say, well, how are guys using this? And I try to pay attention to all that stuff. And a lot of times it's helpful. Some of the forums are helpful too, in that regard.
What sparked this in my brain is the other day I'm going through, and we use a little bit of help here every now and then for our effects, and one of the mic effects we have, I run it through a Helicon, and just for the basic stuff. And then all of a sudden I said, you know what, I never watched any of the tutorials for it. I just plugged it in, turned it on, started
messing with it,
and went, okay, cool, it does that. But then I watched the online tutorial the other day, and I was like, holy shit,
there's so much more.
This thing does a lot. No wonder I spent so much money on it before. It's not just a stupid, deep voice. It's more than that.
Yes.
So, it made me think about more what you do, even more so than like a guitar player. I know when you got your line 6, you played with it. Line 6, line 7?
No.
6? What is it?
I actually messed around with a head rush.
Okay.
Which is, again, an amp modeling thing. It's like a fractal or, anything of that nature. And like you, I got it. I plugged it in. I started messing with it. And I didn't watch anything on it until, like,
COVID?
Yeah, pretty much.
You had a year to figure it out?
Yeah. And there's so much more that it does that I didn't even know.
Right.
Like how to dial shit in and that kind of thing. So it was a learning process.
And this brings me full circle to new people coming into the industry and your industry. You might be able to learn from an apprentice too, that it's so tech savvy. They're going, oh, well, wait, it does this too. Do you know it can do it? I mean,
Well, it's more about what are you guys using these days to get these type of sounds? What are you guys using for this? What are you using for that? And, the younger generation definitely helps.
Right.
I'm always trying to connect with younger guys that are doing it, that are making music on at a good level, and getting software tips from friends and acquaintances and musicians and stuff has been going on since the beginning.
Right.
Dude, I use this for that. You got to try it. Okay, cool. But I got buddies going, how do you get a decent vocal sound? You're going right into Pro Tools. I'm like, well, there's a lot of tricks, there's a lot of different things, The answer is hardware. You got to have good stuff to send the mic through before you get to Pro Tools.
Right. One of the good friends of our show, his name is Bill Hatch, and Bill was one of two guys in our area that had the rights. They were the resource to sell. They sold Pro Tools.
Mm-hmm.
So when I step over to the studio that he built at his house, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to run this through that, and then put this through this. I'm going to do this over here, and then patch it." And he's talking this. He might as well be speaking Yiddish. I don't know anything he's saying. I'm just nodding and going, "Oh yeah, that's cool. Can I just hear what you're doing? I'd rather just hear."
Just let me hear it.
A lot of guys do things wacky, or they do it completely different than I would do it. But in the end, they're, we all tend to go in the same direction. So it's just a matter of how you get there.
Right.
I see a lot of guys using interesting plug-in chains, and I'm like, I would never do it like that. I would do it like this. It just, there's more than one ways to skin a cat, and there's 1,000 million trillion of these companies that are making plugins for our stuff. But I got to tell you that the sound starts in the room. So get a sound in the room, and I will capture it, and then we can do whatever you want to it, and we can make it, sound like it's coming from the moon or whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But get a sound in the room, and that comes with instruments, amps, and that's really the big trick. I mean, I do a lot of electronic stuff. I've been working on a soundtrack for a big client of ours, Stryker, that is doing a big live event. So there's an unveil video that we're producing, and we're making custom music for it, and a lot of it's electronic, using orchestral sounds, sound libraries, which are real recorded instruments, violins and cellos and stuff, and they create these large sample libraries. So then you manipulate the samples. So you're really not using computer generated instruments, using real instruments recorded in good rooms with good microphones with good players, and you're just able to manipulate it in a way that you can play the orchestra. So there's a lot of different levels of that, you know what I mean?
Too many people, I think, come to you and expect more than, how do I put this? They're trying to have you make chicken salad out of chicken shit.
It happens all the time, man.
It's like, well, this sounds like shit. Well, so did you. Right. You guys sounded like shit coming in here.
Yeah. Look what we're starting with, exactly.
Right.
But some clients, listen, I do everything from the highest level records and stuff to like just local guys, local demos. Like college applications. Sometimes I get quite a few of them a year when they want to come in and do their they want to go to Berkeley or whatever, and they do a little recording, and it's just like you see it at all levels, but I kind of lost my train of thought there. Sorry.
Do you find that not only do you have to be a sound guy, but now with the way everything's going, do you have to be a videographer too?
Everybody's asking for video. I tell them, go ahead, bring your video guys, or we'll provide them for you. But you pay us, and we'll provide it for you.
Because everybody wants the footage of them recording what they're doing. Because before you never, that was maybe if you got lucky,
right? Somebody
had some bootleg, 8mm movie that they took while the Doors or something were.
Yeah.
We're doing cool videos with cell phone cams, like I work with a guy all the time, and he comes in, we do a track, and I record him with my cell phone. He's got his cell phone going. He has a friend of his come who's taking film, and they make a little video. It comes out good.
Yeah.
What I was talking about before is managing expectations. You know, when the client comes to you, and from an engineer's perspective, you know, if they're just making a college demo, then there's a certain level of expectation. So you just be supportive and you get the best performance you can from them, make them feel comfortable in the studio, so they can relax and do what they're there to do. That's the biggest thing with the younger people. And but then, you know, they get to have that experience, but I'm not going, no, do it again. You know, you're a little out of tune here. I'm not riding them.
Right.
And so it's managing the expectations. In other situations, when you're doing a record, you know that you're making a really important piece of music, then you might ride somebody and say, come on, let's see if we can get a better solo here, or why don't you do another take at the vocals, see if you can nail it with more personality now, or the chorus we got a double, or there's a lot that goes into it from different levels. You have to be prepared you have to read the room right, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think I think the fact that you're a musician has always helped.
Big time.
You know what to expect. You can't get the sound of even if you're talking just normal woodwind instruments or any of that. You know the difference between a brass, between a flute and a piccolo or whatever. I mean, you know these things, and when you're trying to push the limit, you're not going to make them go past it. You know, just like not thinking a bass player is going to never move.
Oh,
like they don't move on stage.
I'm like,
so you don't.
Where are you going?
You don't anticipate a bass player ever moving. So when they do, it's golden. So all this technology. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever had anything just like no eating in the studio and like a cup of coffee or anything?
Oh yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest one was I guess it was in the 90s. Late 90s. There was an R&B act that was signed to which label was it? EMI? Yeah, it was EMI.
Okay.
And they wanted to book a few days to do vocal recordings. So the producer came. We're working on analog tape, 2-inch tape, and put the track up. Everything's sounding good. The guys come in, they start working. Everything's going good. We order some dinner. Then there's a couple cases of Heineken's around, and one of their entourage guys got pretty hammered, and he was kind of walking around loosely with his beer all the time. And now it's 3:00 in the morning. Everybody's passed out on the couch, and we're still working, still trying to get through these background parts. We're layering, these huge R&B background harmony stacks and stuff on 2-inch tape, and it's like, rewind the tape, do it again, rewind the tape, do it again.
Right.
So this guy decides that he's gonna start telling us how we should be doing it, because the producer is like asleep.
Oh, even better.
Like
right.
me and the other musician, and I'm running the machine, and he's working with his buddy who's trying to sing this stuff. And the drunk guy comes over, and he's holding his beer. He's going, no, man, you got to do it like this. You got to do it like this. And I'm like, who is this guy? Get him out of here, right? Next thing I know, he dumps the whole Heineken, or half of it, by accident, right into the console. And I'm like, holy shit. I get up, the chair hits the back of the room, and I dive over and just shut the console off. And
Too late.
I'm like, roll the tape off the machine, and I'm like, that's it. The session's over. And then the guy like runs into the other room like he was a little kid that did something bad. He was trying to hide. And then I hear him, his voice start raising. So now he's getting mad. Like he was saying that he didn't dump the beer in the console, and that I was calling him a liar. So now he's trying to come after me, and I'm like, all 6'3" of me is like, if this guy comes anywhere near me, man, I'm just gonna flatten him. And I kind of like walked out I was standing in the doorway of the studio. So I was trying to like lure him towards the door so I could just push him out of the room and lock the door behind me and then call the cops.
Right.
And that's pretty much exactly what happened. It almost got ugly. I was standing right on the other side of the door, like cocked and loaded. And the first thing I saw, I was just going to jump through his mouth. But luckily, his boys figured out what was going on, and they corralled him up, and and I was able to avoid the violence because
they said, "You out."
I never like to get violent in the studio at all.
No,
and that's how DMX got his gold grill.
How'd you know it was him?
No kidding. We talked about some stuff that when we ended last time, we spoke so many great stories that there was so much more. You had mentioned to me a story, and I can't remember if we talked about it after we stopped recording, but there was a story about Johnny Winter. And it was like Johnny Winter can see, type.
Oh, yeah. So
here we go.
Sorry. Just no,
you're
seltzer.
good.
No big deal. Yeah, so Johnny, for many, many years, he couldn't see well at all. And, he always had to be helped around. And he sat down on stage for a long time because he couldn't really see and keep his balance and stuff and the lights and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctors always told him, well, it's because of his albinoism and that there was nothing they could do. And they, would give him some drops, but nothing ever helped. Right. And he walked around like that for 30 years. And then he was doing a show at BB King's. And I was down there hanging out with the guys in the band. And we were in the back of the dressing room. And the door comes open. And here comes Johnny. He walks in. Takes his hat off, hangs it on the hat rack, takes his jacket off, hangs his coat up, walks by me and goes, "Hey, Mike," and then sits down. And everybody in the room's jaw dropped because he's like, he can see. And then he tells me, "Oh yeah, it turns out it was just cataracts." So they did some cataract surgery to him, and he could see like 20/20.
Wow,
that's crazy.
It was fucking nuts.
That's actually very cool. Who'd have think?
The first time I met Johnny, he pulled me in like this close to his face, and he's like, "This is the only way I could see you, man." And I was like, "Wow, hey Johnny, nice to meet you, man." But
that's
and
crazy.
then it went from that to the hat rack and all that garbage.
Yeah.
But it was so cool that he got the relief to get his vision back, before he passed away.
Yeah.
Who'd have thunk just changing the car he drove? from a cataract,
right? From a cataract
to an Oldsmobile.
Wow.
Yeah.
They don't.
Johnny could see. Yeah.
They don't get any better than that.
No.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway,
you've got to have a whole slew of these things. I mean, let's face it.
There is.
Well, he does. I mean, I have some of a list here.
Yeah.
So, well, I'll get to one of them in a minute. What was it like working with Richie Blackmore?
Oh, Richie was great, man. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun working with him. He was super laid back. He's the kind of guy that liked to, show up at like 11 o'clock or something. And do a little work until about 3 or 4, and then go to dinner, have a bottle of wine or two and chill out and relax, and then come back to the studio and kind of, listen to what we've done earlier in the day and maybe improve on it or not, and then go home. There wasn't a lot of pressure at all. He was very good about making everybody feel relaxed, which I was shocked about because prior to working with him, I had heard, and maybe everybody has a story, but that he wasn't really like that. But like we talked about in the first episode, you never, ever trust anybody's opinion on that, But we got along really good, and we did a lot of cool music. I didn't know what to expect because, the style of music that he was doing is kind of like the Renaissance music, and it's very minstrel in a way, and it was very different than all the rock and roll that we all knew. But it was fun to do because it was very all the instruments were acoustic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was interesting to do a full production that way without having any really electronic instruments. It was excellent. And he was super cool. He was a prankster too. He was, you get up to go to the bathroom, you come back and you open the door and there'd be like patchouli oil all over your hand because he spiked the doorknob with it. And he's like always do crazy shit like that, like fuck with everybody. He was funny as hell. He had a great sense of humor. Has. Keep saying has. Yeah, has.
Yeah.
Well.
I played the little drums. I played a snare drum thing on one song too. Like,
you did?
Little drummer boy stuff. Yeah,
that's cool.
It was cool. Yeah, it was fun.
You almost toured as a drummer, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I came close. As a kid, it was always my dream. Like I want to go on tour and big tour bus and every city, different city every night. And I started working with Doro back in the '90s, and we did a record together. And then the guys were in New York auditioning drummers. And at the time, I was like, oh, well, what about me? So I brought it up. I was like, hey, because her guy, Johnny D, wasn't able to make the tour. I think he had some personal things going on. So he wasn't able to make that leg of the tour. So they're looking for a temporary replacement. And I threw my hat in the ring. It was kind of crazy. Went to, showed up at SIR and set up the kit and played with the band. The manager's there and she really liked it. And she's like, oh my God, this is great. And we played a few songs because I knew all the new material from working on the record. Right. So I kind of just knew it. And I practiced it a little bit beforehand and got it feeling good and stuff. And we proceeded to move forward. You have your passport. Here's what it pays. We have a room for you at the hotel and yada yada. And then it's like we all went out to dinner, and then the guitar player was asking me like all kinds of questions about my experience and my gigging, and like what was the biggest crowd you ever played for, and like this and that. Started asking me all these questions, and I was just honest. Like I never really did a huge tour like that. I wasn't never a touring musician. I played all the, bigger clubs in New York and all that stuff, like a few thousand people, but nothing in the, they're playing these festivals for like 100,000 people or 75,000 people. It's crazy.
Right.
So they got a little nervous. They didn't want to take a green kid like me out, worried that maybe I would fuck up under the spotlight, So it didn't work out. They picked another person after they told me that I was in.
Wow.
Like, all right, you're in.
Well, if you were in New York
on Monday,
if you were in New York State, it's a verbal contract.
Yeah, it is.
I come back on Monday and there's another drummer there. I was like, oh fuck, I lost the gig somehow. How did I lose the gig? But it worked out really good because I don't think that my path would have been the same had I gone on the road, because I would have gotten bit by it, and I probably would have bounced around a lot of different bands or whatever, and I wouldn't have the time to focus on what I've been doing all these years now, in the studio.
If you had a band that you could go out with back then, aside from Doro, who would it have been?
AC/DC.
That's everybody's. Yeah,
it is really almost everybody's go-to.
People either lean AC/DC, or Alice Cooper.
Yeah,
I find a lot of people lean Alice Cooper because
Alice is great, man. I would go on that tour when I was in shape. I mean, when I could play. I don't have the chops anymore to do that kind of stuff, man. That's passed me by. But I've been thinking a lot about playing. Actually, I think I'm gonna try to get back in shape a little bit. Start playing more. I'm gonna set up the kit here in the studio.
Nah, just ride your bike.
Right, it's a young man's game, right?
Young man's game.
What am I gonna do? Compete with these guys?
Exactly. Right. I get asked. People are like, you should play drums again. I'm like, what are you? No.
What are you, the next?
Absolutely. I don't even want to carry the microphone.
What are you, the next Tommy Aldridge?
Yeah, right.
It sounds like work. You could just do it in the computer. Just do it in the computer.
Yeah, I could. If I could.
Oh, great! He's a fucking rap artist now.
I could upload drum set on my iPhone and be like,
with your thumbs.
I mean, they're going back to that 80 or to the the jukebox kind of sounding Casio sounding drum sets now.
Yeah.
I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah, whatever.
I love playing in the studio. I did a lot of that, through the years. Sitting in with bands, just doing my own thing, recording, stuff. Was in a few different bands, just local stuff.
Ever have like an impromptu concert just break out and, during a recording session where all of a sudden all these musicians are in the room and they're like, fuck it, let's jam. And you were like, God, somebody start rolling tape on this.
Right.
Right. No, I mean, it was weird because in the studio, it's usually kind of segregated in a way where it's like, the project that's here, it's those guys. And then they leave and then a new project comes in. You know what I mean? It's a very, back, when there was a lot of multi-room facilities, you would get some of that bleed over, and where guys would run into each other in the hallways and they'd be sharing the same common areas in the studio. I can't remember a situation like that really, just having probably the all-star band that TM Stevens put together for that one song we cut in New York at the power station was pretty amazing. I think I talked about that last time.
Yep.
I know that when I was back in the 80s, I was in England for a little bit, and I was in London, and the band that did that song "Take on Me," Didn't know they were a Jewish band.
No.
They were recording, and they were staying in my hotel, and I ended up hanging out with the guys, and went over to the recording studio, and in the next, again, multi-studio.
Yeah.
Billy Squier's in one room, and Duran Duran's down in some other room.
Was he tearing his shirt off?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, but what was cool is they kind of became friends, and you wouldn't have thought that his music, that music, at the time, people would intermingle and ended up going to lunch with those guys. And
sure,
I'm sitting, I'm 19 years old, sitting there with Billy Squier, going, "This is pretty freaking cool." Eating at Pizza Hut of all places in London.
Reminds me of a story that Leslie used to love to tell. When they were doing climbing, Mountain was in the studio in New York doing climbing. They were at the record plant.
Okay.
Yeah, the record plant. And in the other room was Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, wow.
So they're working on a track, and then, someone sent word, Jimmy wants to come in and listen and check out your stuff. And he came in and listened to it, and they were like in awe that, Mr. Jimi Hendrix wanted to hear their stuff. And he looked at Leslie and he goes, "Nice riff, man." And, it was, I forget what song, Never in My Life, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It was Never in My Life. But yeah, Leslie used to love to tell that story, like you were talking about, intermingling in the studios.
It just proves that you can be wowed by just about anything. I mean, you never know who's going to be listening, or, You
don't even know who's in the next studio next to you sometimes, you know?
I mean, some of these guys that we've had on the show amaze me with some of the stories that they come up with. And there's got to be, what's one of your best that you feel privileged to know in this story? Ken Mary told us about, was it the Rolling Stones, or the Beatles, or the Rolling Stones? The 4-inch, they were coming over.
Oh, I think that was not. I don't think it was. I think it was the Beatles.
Or was it Zeppelin?
Yeah, I don't remember.
They left the 4-inch on the plane, and all they had was a 1/4-inch back at the studio, and then they called the plane back.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the tapes on there.
Yeah.
They would now today. Nice. That would never. It'd be like
it was Zeppelin. Now that I remember, it was Zeppelin.
Yeah.
And they were doing I think they were doing, excuse me, Zeppelin 4.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to master it in New York or whatever. And the guy gets off the plane.
Because he was hammered. He got hammered on the plane.
Totally forgets that the tape is on the plane. Somehow, and you wouldn't have this happen in this day and age, they got a hold of the plane, he turned around and came back.
Yeah. I mean, what else are you going to do? You need the tapes.
The only person they would do that for nowadays might be like Taylor Swift.
I don't even think that.
No, they wouldn't.
I would do it. They'll just charge your ass.
Yeah, right.
Another flight, sure.
But that's pretty freaking cool. So if you got anything like that just like that you've heard these stories and it's folklore, but you know it.
I had one tech that was aligning the tape machine before the session to get ready for us to do some recording. And during that process, you have to put all 24 tracks in record, and you have a certain pad of tape on the reel to perform that function, which is at the very beginning of the tape. And then the recordings that you work on are, you 5 minutes down. He erased the first 35 seconds of the entire song.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God.
We had to go recreate it all.
Wow.
That was a tough one to swallow. And I remember one time we were working on a record, and it was being done on this new, relatively new digital tape machine. It was a 1-inch 48 track tape. A lot of people used them for years. It was a good sounding machine. Sony made it, 3348, and you had 48 tracks and 1/2 inch reel.
Mm-hmm.
In the very center of the tape, there's a control track that tells the machine everything's okay, we're going, keep rolling, everything's fine.
Right.
A little piece of oxide came off the tape, like in the downbeat of the first chorus. So the whole all 48 tracks just muted for a second. Nobody could figure out why. We're like, holy shit. So for days, we're trying to figure out what the hell. We had another machine come in. We had a second other machine. We tried to make a transfer. None of it worked. And finally, Sony sent an engineer out from Japan. It took him like 2 days to get here, to get to the studio. And he finally found out what the issue was. And we were able to get a third machine in. We needed the original machine. Then we needed a machine to do a transfer to, so to record it on a new piece of tape. And then a third machine to run a control track to trick the first machine into not muting, so we could do a transfer.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and we ended up saving the record. It took like 5 or 6 days to get it all done, because they had to fly somebody in to. The guy was like, he did like forensic analysis of the tape in the area and found that there was a piece of oxide that had fallen off. It was not supposed to. It's supposed to be glued on there.
Did he come with a translator?
Yeah, that was pretty sick. No, I think he spoke a little English, if I remember correctly. I was just a lowly assistant at the time.
You're fucked.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Catastrophes? Not really. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I have to. Maybe I'll come up with one.
Look at your cheat sheet.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm looking at his cheat sheet now.
Okay. I got it now.
I love when he starts laughing.
Eagles. Because... So I was doing a live show with my Uncle Bob, who is an amazing live sound engineer, and the two of us built a system for this amazing cancer research foundation that would put on these galas that would raise millions of dollars for cancer, and so. We had the job to provide the sound system and do all the audio. So the artist this year was the Eagles without Don Henley, and I was like totally psyched. They're one of my favorite bands, right? And we built this monster system in this beautiful room at the Armory in New York City, which is this enormous room, and their engineers mixed the show and everything, but I was like the stage tech. And I was standing by on stage right before they're supposed to go on. And I had checked all the mics a million times and everything's working fine. Everything was going well. And then, 30 seconds before they go on, the monitor engineer yells at me. He's like, I got no lead vocal mic. I got nothing on the lead vocal channel. What the fuck? And he starts freaking out. He's like pulling his hair out. I'm like, holy shit. I grab a mic, a 58 and a wire. I run up on stage. I just pull the old one off and just drop it. Hook the new one up, run it back right to the monitor desk, plug it into the splitter, and he goes, I got it. And then I hear Joe Walsh. I'm like, oh shit, we just fucking made it. And he's like, hey, how you doing? I was, oh my God, I was like panicking. I had to get calmed down after that one. That was pretty crazy.
Those aren't the people you want to piss off.
No.
Is that the one you were thinking of on the list?
Yeah. That was okay. We did you ever have an artist that you thought was just going to be all business and then comes in and just as a I don't want to say a chucklehead, but just is not as professional as someone who's been around as long as they have been should be.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know where I'm going with this, but I
know what you're trying to say, but yeah.
I don't know where you're going with it.
Oh, he knows. I have an example, but well, I'll tell the example, and then you see if you have anybody who's ever done anything.
Okay.
So
yeah.
So we have a show here. Bands coming out. They have a reunion show. They've been around for a long time. They had a great turnout, and it just so happens that a very famous drummer from, I don't know if I should, might as well, right? Leonard Skinner. Let's just say Leonard Skinner's very famous drummer, who you'd think was like, would come in, and his name almost reminds you of a transformer.
Pile driver.
Yeah. He's very artistic. Artemis.
I know the man. Yeah. I know exactly who you mean.
So this guy, Artemis Pyle.
Yeah.
So we think, I mean, when you've got certain musicians have a certain level of prestige to them that you're like, wow,
yeah,
the man is here.
Yep.
And somebody says, hey, do you want to come up and play? Would you please come up and play with us? Play a song.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets up to play, and he doesn't want to leave.
No.
And he stays up, and the band's like, what the fuck's going on here, dude?
Why is this guy still here?
Why is he doesn't know these songs that we're doing. I mean, he stays for like 3 songs.
He doesn't know we're doing Metal Health by Quiet Riot.
Yeah, and then he just jumps down with a cowbell and starts running around the stage, and then.
Well, come to find out, the reason he was there, his bus broke down.
No.
Yeah.
No, they played a private party first, but their bus broke down, and that's why they didn't leave the venue yet. Right.
Yeah.
And so, and then, like, I'm over just, like, in awe. I'm shaking, because I'm a drummer.
I'm shaking a legend's hand.
I'm shaking a legend's hand. He was on the fucking plane that went down, and he survived, And next thing I know, he's putting me in a headlock and giving me a noogie, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? This is like a big kid. So I'm just curious if you've ever had like an artist come into studio that outside of someone putting hemp oil on a doorknob.
Yeah.
But it just like you're going, well, this is not what I expected to meet this guy.
I can't recall anything, but it just reminds me of the fact that there's this camaraderie that happens when things start working in the studio, and you all become very close. It's an intimate setting. So once you have that bond with somebody, you can run into them 20 years later and be like, oh, Mike, how's everything doing? It's like that record we did together was great. Like, we got to get together. It's a bond that happens. I can't remember anybody not fitting in. Like, you weren't on the premises if you weren't part of the thing. It's always it always seems to be pretty well guarded in my recollection. In that regard, like, just someone showing up. I mean, Leslie used to joke around with people all the time. He used to have a couple people that would maybe come and sit in, and he'd be like, yeah, great, all right, go get off my stage, go ahead. Like, he used to bust their chops and kick them off the stage. Like, you're done. All right, thanks. That was great.
Next.
Next.
Now I'm going to show you how it's really done. I mean, that's the way Leslie would do it. He was a fucking pisser, man. I wish I had more time with the guy, man. It's a shame. But
exactly.
we made some great music together, and we became very good friends, family almost, you know. And but he was big on jokes, you know. He used to tell jokes all the time, and I think it's a good pastime in the studio. Get your mind off of the focus for a second, and you can just shut your brain off for a minute and listen to a funny joke. And he could tell them good, man. He's
You can definitely go off the rails, though.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Oh my God!
How many times did we'd be doing, either we were recording or we were doing just our
rehearsing,
and someone would just crack a joke, and next thing you know, everybody piles on with their version of something, and you just spent 45 minutes just fucking around.
I think the funny part was, though, and it wasn't so much the jokes for us. For some reason, it was like movie quotes.
Oh God, yes.
Somebody would quote a movie, and then it would just snowball.
Yeah, ping pong back and
forth.
It's
like, oh God.
Yeah.
We've just done 5 minutes of rehearsal, and this has taken up about 30. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
You know what stops all that? Just hit the play button. I would do that all the time, right in the middle of a conversation. Yeah, cool, man. Just hit play, and then you know, the music's on and it focuses everybody.
Yeah. We've seen that.
Yeah, for sure. Another one I wanted to ask you about, Mike, was Chris Caffrey.
Yeah.
What was he like?
Chris is a great guy, man. He's a great guy. He's a talented motherfucker. You know, I was blown away by when he played his first couple notes in the studio. I was like, wow, I didn't even know who he was. Like, I was like, who is this guy? You know, and it's like they brought him in on something. I forget what the hell it was. But then we became he knew my partner at the time, Nelson Ayers, really well, and then the two of us ended up recording Chris's band. This is before Sabotage, before all that stuff, and actually I think it was like right before Sabotage, and it was a lot of fun, man. He was just so good in the studio. He got his sound really good. Right off the bat, and he was very well prepared. This is what, you know, these are how the songs are going, and these are my parts. I wrote the solos, and there's harmonies here, and you know, he was really good about navigating the process. On top of being incredibly talented, so it was super fun to work with him. And his brother was the drummer in the band that we did. It was called Witch Doctor.
Okay.
That's what it was.
Interesting.
I think we recorded like 6 songs or something, and they were shopping around trying to get a deal. And then I think he went off to do Sabotage after that.
Yeah.
Right. Ever have anybody come in the studio mistaken identity?
No.
No. Just the way
mistaken identity.
Just the way he said it.
I thought they were somebody they weren't. Yeah, it happens all the time. No, I don't know what you mean, Mike.
What?
Weren't you talking about somebody that thought somebody was a plumber or something? Or?
Oh, yeah. No. I was going to ask him what it was. That was kind of my next thing, was like working with Al Petrelli. And
oh, yeah, right.
When he auditioned for Megadeth,
right,
he walks in, Dave Mustaine looks at him, and he's like, yeah, the bathroom's over there. He thought he was the plumber. And it's like
Ace Frehley was the plumber.
No, well, yeah,
the plumber.
And lo and behold, he got the gig.
Just because he looked like
he's fucking great.
Yeah,
I was gonna say.
Yeah,
he's a killer, man. He is amazing.
No, that's why it was. That's why he's with TSO.
Yep.
Right.
I mean,
both him and Chris.
Yeah. Him, Chris, and Joel.
Joel Hoekstra,
yeah.
Joel's great too. I haven't gotten a chance to see them in a couple of years, but Chris is always fun to see live. Like, I always try to support the stuff that he's doing. And he was playing with Doro for a little while too. He filled in every once in a while. He loves doing the metal music. And you know, I'm stoked to hear what they're up to with Sabotage.
Yeah,
it's going to be fun to see what they come up with. You know, I'm sure they'll put out a great record.
Especially they got Zach Stevens on vocals, so that's going to be killer.
Well, unless they get Mike Metal Goldberg to do some stuff on it, I'm not listening.
Well,
I don't care.
That's what I was going to say, Mike. Let's make a call, man.
That's it.
Let's do it.
That's
I owe Chris a call, to be honest with you. I'm going to call him up and say, dude, am I mixing your new record for Sabotage?
Right.
I mean,
I don't see why you
He'll
wouldn't.
be like, no. He'll be like, no.
be like,
What?
Please?
Is this a prank call?
Who is this really?
Right.
I was just talking about, here's a funny Chris Caffrey story. They used to have these parties at his house, and everybody would get sauced up, and he would try to get everybody to dive off his deck. He would be like, come on, it's time to deck dive. Deck dive. So you run from one side of the deck and jump over the railing and dive onto the lawn. That was
the lawn.
That was his big idea about party games.
Parkour.
Deck diving.
It's like parkour.
It's like human jarts.
You're right.
You know?
Where the fuck?
Try not to get killed.
Oh, he's a paraplegic.
Yep, he's done.
Need a new guitar player.
Yep. Somebody call Al Petrelli.
You gotta sit back and wonder what the studio says. Like if somebody gets breaks their arm fucking around between gigs.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, he can't finish the tour because
do you have to wait the 6 weeks or what?
Yeah, he can't finish the tour because he was, table surfing at Denny's at 3 a.m. on a Moon's Over My Hammy.
Slipped on a piece of bacon.
Yeah, right. What the fuck? Yeah.
Pardon me.
I'm running out of just
food things
to say.
Oh.
Hey, how do you go about, you mentioned you're going to pick up the phone, I'm a phone call. I know people in other aspects of the business that word of mouth and past relationships really get you the gigs because it's not even your resume anymore. They just know your resume.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself chasing it as much, or are they still coming to you, or is it still there's just so much good talent out there that you still have to stay one step ahead of one of your peers?
It's a little of both, I still get calls all the time from past clients. Those are always the best ones because, they're coming back. They like the service. They know what they're getting. And they're happy to have someone that they can rely on to do it right and not have to deal with it. People don't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of that. But there's also a lot of, searching out the next thing. I've been talking to a lot of people at the end of the year here because my mind has really been focused on that. I'm really looking for a killer blues band to do and bring them into, a contemporary listening audience. It's got to be contemporary blues, something that's edgy and that'll stand up to today, different than the classic stuff is awesome too. But I think that there's so much competition there with these amazing artists that are doing that.
Mm.
And I've been putting the word out. I put the word out. I want to do this. I want to do that. And hopefully the universe answers. That's basically the way I look at it at this point.
Brandon Gibbs.
I've been contemplating the management situation, and we'll see where it goes. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to play out.
I was thinking more Anthony Gomes.
Anthony Gomes he's hot right now.
I know.
I mean, but he's internet famous.
Oh,
I mean, but his blues album is fucking smoking. But I think he produced that himself.
That I don't know.
Yeah. I know. Do you know who Anthony Gomes is?
I'm familiar with the name. I'm not familiar with the material. I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, check it out.
Anthony Gomes.
It's really freaking good. I mean, he's so good that we have not even been able to get an inkling of a chance of him on the show.
Well, no, in the funny part, you were talking to him.
I was talking to him back and forth.
And
yeah, because he wanted me to buy a fucking signed copy of his album. As soon as I was like, no, I'm not interested in buying anything. I'm interested in having you on the show. It was like, wah.
Yep. Dead stop.
I was like, what the fuck just happened? Was that was that the emergency brake?
I think so. Did you hear the tire squealing?
I did.
He just left.
I had a P2 235 SR14 stamped across my forehead when he backed up over me so fast.
Yep.
Oh, Jesus.
Mike, why is there an 18 drum on your head?
This business is all based on, like you said, relationships, and that's what gets the work. You're just in the right place at the right time. You make a phone call, you send a text. Next thing you know, someone's like, "Oh, I'm glad you came up on my radar again," and you go to work. But there's there's a lot. The business has been constricting for many years now,
right?
In a lot of different ways, including the financial side of it. So a lot of times I'll get together with someone and we'll plan to do something and it doesn't work out because there's no funding or timing, or there's a lot of hoops to jump through, to make stuff happen.
Well, I think you're willing to put more hats on than you used to have to before.
Right.
Before you like you said, you were thinking of maybe in the management role and this role and that role. Before you just went in, you either strictly sound engineer or you managed the whole album, but you weren't thinking anything else except what you're good at and you're known for, and now you want to start branching out because it's available to us. I mean, even from our level, getting musicians together, and we mentioned it on a couple shows where some of our past guests have hooked up together because of the relationship that everybody shares, and you can make some great things happen from any level. And you mentioned blues, and we're talking to Brandon Gibbs, and he's like,
"Oh yeah."
He's like, "Yeah, well, I'd love to do some," because he has a whole bunch of blues original stuff that he never put out.
No.
And the guy's just an incredible musician.
Yes.
Playing with Joel, they tour together a lot, Hulkstra. So, there's a name that who knows? You never know.
I want to look into it, man. Maybe we can get together.
Yeah. Just
the thing is that just to jump back a little bit, I'm not sure if you might have misunderstood with what I was saying. When I mentioned management, I was really talking about getting a manager for myself.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To have them try to put me in the right room, because it's like you said, it can be difficult. Because of a lot of different reasons, but representation is always better than not, I think. And they're going to sell you better than you would sell you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm bad at that. A lot of us are bad at that stuff. So I've been thinking a lot about getting that going somehow. But it's the relationships are so difficult. It's gotta be the right person.
Like if you had a manager, they probably wouldn't have mentioned that you only played small clubs to a big tour.
Yeah.
They would have said, "Oh, trust me, this guy can handle it."
Right.
Move on.
That happened over like spaghetti and shit. So you can't. The manager's not going to stop that from happening.
Yeah.
Maybe they can. Maybe that I can. I look at it like this. I guess I've been a little reflective over the holidays and stuff, and I got a window here, so I only have a certain amount of time left that I'm going to be able to do this.
Right.
So I want to maximize it in a way. I want to do the important stuff now. Why I can enjoy it, and it will come out the best that it possibly can. Because it's like the sweet spot in the career, I guess. I'm starting to feel the pressure from inside to strive for a couple more really great projects before I retire, which is, I figure I got 10 more years.
Let me ask you this, Mike. What do you want your legacy to be?
Well, that's a tough question, man.
Somebody asked me that one, and it stopped me. It put me right off my chair.
Yep.
And it's a great question, and that they asked me, and I think it's important to hear from everybody. How do you not just how do you want to be remembered, but what do you want your legacy to be?
I don't know how to answer that, Mike. I think I just want my legacy to be like, he did important work for a long time and helped a lot of people make a lot of great music. I think that would be enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If most people were to think of me in that light, I think that's what I would like it to be. Because that's the reality of it. It's kind of what I dedicated myself to. My musical abilities were different when I was younger. I had a lot more playing ability. Now it's more production and engineering, using my mind instead of my feet and arms and flailing like fucking Animal from the Muppets.
Yeah.
Like I was saying before, it's a young man's game.
Yeah, for sure.
But, a helper of musicians. Like, I don't know. That's a weird question, Mike. That's a tough one.
See
Get
what you did
here. Get you right. Well,
Yeah.
but it makes you think without putting thought to it.
Yeah.
Preemptive. It's really it hits you. I could ask Jeff the same thing.
Right. I would probably answer the same way Mike did.
Yeah, but we all strive. But not everybody answers it as humbly as you.
No.
And I think the point I'm getting at, and you are in a category of people that we've had on the show that we could have you back every month and just enjoy an hour of our time, because you're humble, but you've been successful, and we are very thankful to spend this hour with you, learning more about it, about what you do, and you can tell that you're genuine, so.
That's super nice of you to say, Mike. It's just, you just got to be real. They taught me that when I was fucking 18 years old, getting coffee for these guys. Just be yourself, be calm, be real, and you'll go places. And that's kind of that's been my mantra from the beginning.
Wow.
But it's really nice to hear you talk that way, Mike and Jeff. It's a extreme compliment from where I'm sitting.
From where we're sitting,
more warranted than you know.
Yeah, because we've had people that wouldn't answer that way.
No.
What do you want your legacy? I want to be the greatest guitar player of all time,
Right.
Whatever. No, they don't think of just you want to help.
Right.
And we all start off in the entertainment business with a bit of narcissism. Let's face it.
Yeah.
No matter what aspect, we want to make our mark, and that's all we focus on. But the further down the road we go, our priorities or the things that put a smile on our face change. And personally, I just want to be the guy that somebody sits back and says, you know what? He was a good guy.
Yeah.
And he's helped people. He's brought people together. This one might not have met that one.
Yes.
And that's what I struggle to be. I strive to be, but sometimes I struggle because we all have that little bit of, look at me, look what I did. No,
right.
I don't care about look at me anymore.
Right.
I want to just sit back and say, look what we've all done together.
Yeah, man.
And I think we should.
One of the things I have a lot of pride in is that I've been a best man a half a dozen times.
Oh, cool.
So that has been it's pretty touching, that to have friends of that that level, and multiple friends like that, and most of them are revolve around the music business. If they're not in it, they're close to people who are in it, and that's kind of how we're bred, I guess.
Yeah.
When it's done right. There's a lot of assholes too, but aside from them, anyway. Enough of the fucking
part 3.
Philosophy.
Part 3. Mike Metal Goldberg talks about who's the assholes. 2-hour segment.
I have an idea that it's not going to be an hour.
No, it's not.
That's all I'm saying. Mike, is there someone, be it artist or band, that you worked with that people may be surprised that you worked with?
Yeah, I think so. I worked with the Fat Boys.
Okay.
That was that rap act. You know that.
I know
I
it.
can't even do it.
I did
the beatbox stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I worked security for them when they played here one.
Did you really?
I was security for them and Salt and Pepper.
Oh, good for you.
It was dude. I love that. Those guys were great guys.
They were interesting.
Yeah. Yes. No.
It was funny. I mean, it was just a couple sessions, but you know, they were cool. They were doing their thing. But that's a little surprising because I'm kind of like a rock and blues guy mainly, you know. But
yeah,
I did a lot of gospel records too. I worked as an engineer for a local producer, Reverend, who was a great guy. Georgia Mass Choir, the Miami Mass Choir, Reverend Timothy Wright. I worked on quite a few records for these bigger gospel artists. That might be surprising to some. I don't know. That's about it.
There you go.
That's cool though. I mean, who would have known? The Fat Boys.
Yeah, you don't put that on the top of the resume, I guess, right?
Right.
Hey,
right.
Hey, they sold a lot of.
But they did.
They sold a lot of records.
Yes, they did.
And at the time in 1980,
whatever,
9,
I think so.
Yeah, I think 1989,
something like that. Yeah.
1990.
Yep.
Everybody knew who they were.
Oh yeah.
You know, so it's not.
All the gospel guys are really fun to work with because they're killer singers and musicians, and they were just the sweetest people. You know, never a problem, never any drama. Everybody was just there for the right reasons. So those are always fun.
Yeah.
Chill sessions.
They kind of have to be, don't they?
Yeah. I think
nice people.
They have to be nice people.
Well, yeah.
Boy, those church people. Boy, they were all jerks.
Right.
You never hear that. You never hear that.
You never hear that sentence.
You don't hear that, right?
No, that's not a sentence that comes out of somebody's mouth.
That's right. Anyways, Mike, thank you so much again for being on the show. We can't.
Guys, it's so much fun, man. We'll do it on the semi-regular, I guess.
I like that.
I'm all right with it.
And for those of you that want to meet Mike, he'll be up in the Syracuse area sometime this summer on his bike. And
hell yeah.
We're all going to ride together. So, you know.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll pedal as hard as I can.
You can come. You can be the tailgater or the tail gunner. I mean, you can ride in your van.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. In case anybody needs
my windowless van.
Yeah. Your.
I just want to compliment you guys both doing a great job and
thanks,
and
brother.
To inspire you to keep doing it. You know, it's really fun work you guys are doing. You know, I've been looking into all the old ones. I'm going to be educating myself on all the podcasts you've done. I've seen the lists and stuff and listened to a couple of them. But it's important, man. We need guys like you to keep propping up the business and telling people what's going on.
Yeah, we appreciate
that.
Dude,
much appreciated.
Yeah. And if you know anybody that should be on the show, please tell them. And then just like we got hooked up.
Like, you know, Chris or Al the plumber. I would probably never say that to him, though. I'd be like, dude.
Yeah. Well, we've reached out.
Yeah.
So, dude, thank you so much.
I'll definitely keep you guys in mind and share you along for sure.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
As usual, don't go anywhere. We're going to roll out, and then we'll come right back. So,
right on.
All right, cool.
Hang on a second.
Later.
You've been listening to The Good,
The Band,
The Ugly. I'm Big Papa.
And I'm just Jeff.
That is just Mike Metal Goldberg. Yes.
Or as Zach Wilde would say, Father Metal.
Father Metal.
Yeah.
Hey, we want to thank the folks over at, let's start with Uncle Jimmy this week.
All right.
Blackened Heart Tattoo.
Hogwash, which won't need till spring.
Snarky Productions. Print Shop Underground. Got to give a shout out to them. Let's give a shout out to our friends over at Ultimate Ears. Thank you so much for everything you do for us.
Yep.
And let's give a shout out to the Hades Hounds.
All right.
88 or you ain't.
All right.
Hey, remember what we always say.
Be good to each other.
Don't be dicks. Peace out.
Almost forgot.
Oh, shut up.
Recording stopped.
Recording stopped.
See?